Gator, if I told you there was going to be a worse fantasy series than Rings of Power come out this year, I don't think you would believe me. I don't think I'd believe myself, but we have it here now with The Witcher Blood Origin. Dude, this is absolutely the worst series I've ever seen. Now, I will preface by saying...
The worst you've ever seen, period, or fantasy series?
Fantasy series.
Okay.
Fantasy series and maybe just this year, period.
Yes.
Because I hated Rings of Power, but I have not seen Willow or Wheel of Time, so I don't know where those land for me. But this is so bad. And in comparison with some great series we've got with House of the Dragon, and this is even worse than, I'm not a huge fan of the Witcher series, but this is like leaps and bounds worse than the season 1 of Witcher and season
2. Yeah. But you know what? I disagree a little bit. I think that if you had told me that there was going to be a worse series to come out, and I had remembered that the series came out this year, I would believe it. Because like I said in our previous video, I do remember seeing a trailer for this at the end. I think it was like the post-credits tail end of season 2 of the regular Witcher. And this looked absolutely horrible. Horrible. I'd say this lived up to my expectations, if I'm being totally honest with you. Based on that one trailer, I didn't remember this was going to come out this year. So that might be the only reason I wouldn't believe you about the whole, worst fantasy series that Rings of Power. But yeah, this thing sucks, man. It's arguably the worst fantasy series I've ever seen. I can't think of really a worse one that I've seen, but animated or live action, by the way.
So my understanding was this was going to be like 8 episodes. They got cut down to 6 and 4, which makes so much sense if that's true. Because everything feels rushed in here, from the plot being set up for them to go execute the Empress to just character development between characters, their backstories, the certain little plot twists they kind of have, because they have this unneeded thing where what's her name, Michelle Yeoh's character. Let's see if I have a picture of her here.
What, the betrayal?
Yes, the fake out betrayal was one of the most unneeded things of all time on screen.
It's terrible.
Why would you not tell everybody this is the plan? Because it's a great plan. I will say that.
Yes,
it's a great
it was.
Plan. But why not tell anybody?
I know it's totally fake drama. Even if they didn't tell us, even if they didn't tell us and then they revealed it afterward that, after we were surprised by it, that it was all an act, and the Lark goes up to her and they do a little fist bump action. We fucking got him, Even if it was that, it's like, okay, now we know that Michelle Yeoh's character wasn't a complete idiot. Because yes, what is the benefit of keeping this thing a secret? It's whatever. And she was supposed to be I feel like she was supposed to be the wise, smart character, by the way, too.
And on top of that, it makes no sense to fake it out. It's a great plan to say, hey, we don't know, which is another. I have no idea what the fuck that was going on here, because they have a conversation, Michelle Yeoh and the main dog clan guy, the drag queen guy, the dog guy, right? They have this conversation about how are we going to get inside? Where's the secret entrance? And he's like, there's no secret entrance. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? Where's the communication in this team? There's not that many members here, right?
There's 7. There's 7. That's
overwhelming bureaucracy where it's like, oh, you didn't file the right paperwork and we're just not on the same page here. Sorry about that. Yeah, they can clearly communicate with each other. So this guy was on his own fucking program. Makes no sense. Michelle Yeoh comes up with a plan, just doesn't want to tell anybody about it. And then it just pisses me off.
Well, there's so many people on this too that I don't even understand the purpose of them being in this squad. It's like they'd already decided they wanted 7 people. And so they couldn't compromise that. Like when that brother Death or whatever, when he shows up, what the fuck did he contribute besides looking pretty similar to this guy? It's like, you want to talk about paperwork getting fumbled. It's like, what, they forget they already had a bald-ish guy with facial hair? They had to get the multi-meal version in there too?
That's what I'm saying. It's like there's too many things are overlapping here with, they also have a mage. They have 2 mages, right? It's this black guy here, and then there's that white girl. They're both mages or some sort of... spellcasters, whatever. And the other thing too is I would rather know more about the system of magic they're doing than some of these awful character development scenes they attempt to do, where they don't get you to feel for these characters. They just tell you how you should feel about these characters. Some person explains their whole backstory about how they were betrayed, or they're the dwarf girl, right?
Yes.
Her wife was killed and pig roasted by some elves, and they hammer home. Did they eat it?
I would. I mean, she's small enough to, I don't know. Yes. Okay, look at that. Yeah, wouldn't you eat that?
It kind of looks voluptuous, to me. I'd probably take a little bite. But anyways, they give you they tell you how you should feel about these characters. And also they hammer home, which we know already, dwarves and elves don't like each other. We watched Lord of the Rings kind of during this period because we're preparing for a 12-hour live stream, which you should check out on our channel.
Check it out.
They go through a whole arc with Gimli and Legolas with less screen time about how much they hate each other, but then also they've come together as hey, we're gonna fight this bigger cause here for the good of Middle Earth, right? these people here are insufferable. Like I'm trying to really pin down exactly what is wrong here.
I can't
It all
either.
comes down to the performances they give are basically cringe. I'm pulled out of every scene. The set design is all over the place. Rushed,
the cast is
right?
too crowded. Well, yeah, it's rushed kind of, but I don't think. Okay, listen, I don't want to put out the narrative that we want to see a longer version of this series. I don't want to see that.
No,
but no. But I think the cast is too crowded. Almost, this almost feels more like Vox Machina, which is an animated comedy show than something serious like The Witcher. Again, in that situation, it's kind of excusable that things have a more shallow backstory and it's all kind of made up for laughs. But there's no laughs in this. They're kind of supposed to be, but they're kind of retreading old ground, like you said with Gimli. Like this little dwarf girl's like, oh, basically same exact mentality as the hard-headed, I love to party. It's like the same kind of shit.
She's basically a toxic, the worst toxic male you can ever imagine. But it's funny because she's a dwarf and she's a lesbian. Isn't that funny, guys?
Yes.
Laugh.
It's unbelievable. And then there's
laugh.
Speaking of the lesbian thing, there's so many shoehorned like relationships in here we don't care about. Like those kind of secondary character mages in the Empress's place, like the Elvish kingdom. Not these two even, but
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, there's the other ones. There's some kind of drama, like they're in a relationship and they're betraying people, and the Empress is walking around town. I don't care about any of that. Even the Lark, she's arguably the main character of this show. And by the way, I guess she's not, by the way, because she didn't become the first Witcher. So I don't know what's up with that. That's a very strange choice, but not that I want her to be. But even that, dude, everything about this just feels disjointed. You could half the cast completely and not miss anything. That's what I'm trying to say. You could half the cast and not miss any plot, what do you want to say, richness, of which there was none.
Well, so they give you half-assed like setups, and it's super rushed, which might be because of production, but I don't care. It's rushed. It's horribly performed. But by the end of it, they almost feel like it all pays off here at the end. And because they didn't properly set it up, and it didn't feel, you're not bought into this universe, it all falls flat, right? With, who's his name? I think his name's Baylor. And his so it's basically Eddie Murphy and Amy Schumer here, right?
Right.
You could see it a mile away that he had to kill her, right? This is like almost the Thanos.
Yes, it's exactly the Thanos.
I knew right away.
I know, me too. Immediately.
That's the thing. This isn't that original. It's like it's Seven Samurai meets what would you want to say? There's other little elements here that you could really point out, like just a fantasy story.
It doesn't matter. It's
Seven
just predictable.
Samurai.
It's very predictable.
Yes, it's very predictable. And if you could get the Venn diagram, I think you could easily do it with movies you've seen recently. And
yes. And the thing is too, I said this in the last video, this is shitting on concepts that exist in which are proper, and they really went ham, by the way. At the end of this, spoiler alert, they show this like guy who referenced we could actually time travel with these monoliths, and I guess he did, because at the end we see a scene from the first season of The Witcher when I can't remember her name. It's that little blonde girl who Geralt finds. Assyria or whatever, and she's playing little jacks with the street kids because she likes to be part of the peasants or whatever, and she like looks behind her, and I guess I don't remember what she was looking at in the first season of The Witcher when we watched it, but I guess she was looking at this guy who time traveled from this era. He looks totally out of place, by the way. And it's just the whole monolith thing, it was kind of a mystery in Witcher season 1 and 2, and it could have been cool in these other worlds and all that stuff, but they really just shit on it in this. Turns out it's just an ethereal like god voice that's willing to give you whatever you want if you kill someone you love or kill the thing most important to you. It was just, they turned what could have been a somewhat interesting thing, like a tier 2 fantasy franchise, into like a tier 3, tier 4, tier shithole. They just really did. It is tier shithole, teared mine up. So I don't know. I don't know what else to say about it, but I think the main thing that's terrible about this is the non-elaboration or the shitty elaboration on the magical concepts that this world's built on, like the Witcher thing, like the sorcerer thing. I don't know how much you want to go into that, but like the Witcher thing, total mystery about it still. It's like, oh, this explains the first Witcher. Guess what? It doesn't. Not really. It doesn't at all.
I like that the best scene is with Baylor, this guy, when he gets all of his powers. He just burns that guy alive. He's like, sir, there's an uprising. He just like lights that guy on fire. Hilarious. The other best scene is where I forget what their names are because I really don't care about their names. But the dog clan guy here, whatever, when that guy comes up, the sellsword, he's like talking about something, and he splits that guy in half the long way. Literally, the best parts are in the final minutes of episode 4. But other than that,
splits him the hot dog way.
The writers forgot how the Lark was going to energize the populace to go against the Empress. And she's like, we got to get the food for some reason. Why would she want to go for the food, right? What the fuck is the food about?
Maybe the armory.
But they have to go in the food to realize the Empress, there's no food. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't,
Yes.
they have to go in there to see that there's nothing there for them to get pissed off. So it's like, oh, it's just so forced. I'm like, why? No. And then the whole Empress thing with her, she could have been a more complex character that was like some person looking to do good for the realm, but the set design and everything, you never felt like the kingdom was like on the brink of destruction, right? That it was
Never.
like, oh, dude,
No.
we're about to die here. We have to do something. We're from a dying planet.
Yes.
You never get that from her. You get this
No.
kind of like
She's
blissful
evil.
understanding of how the world works from her, and it's cringe the whole time.
It's cringe the whole time. We don't care about her. We don't care about any characters. The Lark especially, the way she sings everything and like soothes this guy, that was all built up in this episode for some reason. It was beyond cringe when the Empress went through the like the people's peasant streets or whatever because she wanted to know what was going on, and there's like a random peasant that looks at her and then starts singing the Black Rose song again. I almost died of cringe. It's just, yeah, it's the worst. I did like when this guy, this Witcher guy split that statue or whatever, took that sword and then killed that monster. Kind of a cool kill, not gonna lie, kind of a cool kill. Besides that, I don't know. I guess, you know what? They did explain one thing explain one thing well for us Witcher normies, and that is that the elf world and the human world are literally two different planes. Like the humans were transferred from, I assume, Earth to whatever this place is. So that was actually an explanation that I did not know beforehand, and I'm glad that they told us. But if this show's intent was to like make me feel bad for the elves or like understand their plight, like, oh, the humans came and killed them all or something, it did a horrible job because the elves are even bigger pieces of shit than any human we see in The Witcher season 1 and 2. So everything about this show sucks. I think we're going even long here talking about this piece of shit.
You know what this series really needs to do? It feels like it's a performer on stage that cannot sing well, but it's pretending to sing and spin plates and juggle at the same time. And it's almost spinning the plates well enough, almost, right? But she's horrible at singing. It's like, dude, no, just focus on the singing part before you start spinning plates, before you start doing this extra shit. Like you said, for some reason, it thought it could tell you a generic story about characters, because I feel like characters are really what makes something. If you look at Andor, a series that no one got that never got respect and no one really cared about, that was mostly about characters more than it was about
an
actual complex plot that was going on. It's a very simple plot, especially in the little vignettes they have, the 3 or 4 episode arcs. But it's all about character and acting and pacing and whatever writing in it. So,
I totally agree. If you want to make the series better, you need 2 things. You need 1, focus on the characters, not so much all the pizzazz and all this other shit. Make it look convincing too. So I guess 3 things. And 3rd, cast Tim Allen. That's all I need. That's all I need. 10 out of 10 after that.
And if you haven't already, like, smashed your head up against the wall while watching this, go ahead, just smash that like button real quick. And subscribe if you want to see more content like this, where we will talk about hopefully better things other than Blood Origin.